गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरंजना यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरंजना यमुनातीरावनचारी 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 जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरंजना यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरंजना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री राधा वल्लभ भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय। गौर निताई की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। Hare Krishna. This morning we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14. Our focus will be on text number 38. Canto 7, text 14. Chapter 14, text number 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवतीर्नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। So text number 38 goes as follows. तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। तेष्वेव भगवान् राजंस् तारतम्येन वर्तते तस्मात् पात्रं हि पुरुषो यावान् आत्मा यथेयते। Teshu, among the different types of bodies, demigod, human, animal, bird, etc. Eva, indeed, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his Paramatma feature. Rajan, O king, Taratamyena, comparatively, more or less, Vartate, is situated. Tasmat, therefore, Patram, the Supreme Person, He, indeed, Purushaha, Paramatma, Yavan, as far as, Atma, the degree of understanding, Yatha, development of austerity and penance, Iyate, is manifest. Translation. O King Yudhishthira, the super soul in every body gives intelligence to the individual soul. O King Yudhishthira, the super soul in every body gives intelligence to the individual soul. How? According to his capacity for understanding. According to his capacity for understanding. Therefore, the super soul is the chief within the body. The super soul is manifested to the individual soul according to the individual's comparative development of knowledge, austerity, penance, and so on. The super soul is manifested to the individual soul according to the individual's comparative development of knowledge, austerity, penance, and so on. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In Bhagavad Gita 15.15, it is said, Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his localized aspect gives intelligence to the individual soul as far as he can grasp it. Therefore, we find the individual soul in high and low positions. A living entity with the body of a bird or beast cannot take instructions from the Supreme Soul as adequately as an advanced human being. Thus, there are gradations of bodily forms. There will be questions after this purport. Gaurang, there will be questions after this purport. Okay, I will catch you. Should I? Okay. I may ask you questions, both of you. Okay, be ready. I'll ask you the gist of what Prabhupada said now. Okay, I was joking. In human society, the perfect Brahmana is supposed to be the most advanced in spiritual consciousness. In human society, who is the perfect Brahmana? How is it supposed to be? He is supposed to be the most advanced in spiritual consciousness, and further advanced than the Brahmana is the Vaishnava. Therefore, the best persons are the Vaishnavas and Vishnu. When charity is to be given, one should take instruction from the Bhagavad Gita 17.20. Datavyam iti yad danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale chapatre cha tad danam satvikam smritam. That gift which is given out of duty, at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. One should give charity to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, for thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be worshipped. In this connection, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam comments, Brahmadi sthavaranteshu na vishesho hare kvachit vyakti matra visheshena taratamyam vadanti cha. Beginning from Brahma down to the ant, everyone is conducted by the Super Soul. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati. But because of a particular person's advancement in spiritual consciousness, he is considered to be important. Therefore, the Brahman Vaishnav is important. And above all, the super soul, the personality of Godhead, is the most important personality. So, who is the most important personality? The super soul. Full marks to both of you. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatam Maham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Teshveva eva Bhagavan Rajams Taratamyena Vartate Tasmat Patram hi Purusho Yavan Atma Yathe Yate. O King Yudhishthira, the super soul in every body gives intelligence to the individual soul according to his capacity for understanding. Therefore, the super soul is the chief within the body. The super soul is manifested to the individual soul according to the individual's comparative development of knowledge, austerity, penance, and so on. So, the chapter is called as Ideal Family Life. Okay. This is a conversation with Narad Muni and Yudhishthira. So, Narad Muni is giving instructions on ideal family life. So, there are so many instructions that have been given. Okay. Specifically now, a principle is being given today. Today a principle is being given. Many verses are instructive in nature, whereas some verses enunciate some principle. So today's verse is enunciating a principle. Today's verse is establishing the dominance of the super soul over the individual soul. It's establishing that. Now, if you remember anything from Srila Prabhupada's purports that we just now studied, overall, this commentary, what is it doing? It is highlighting or underscoring the hierarchical nature, of spiritual advancement of different living entities. So there is a hierarchy of spiritual advancement. Number 2, it is emphasizing devotion to Lord Krishna. It is also emphasizing the fact that the Brahmanas are the most evolved in terms of living entities. However, higher than the Brahmanas are the Vaishnavas. So they are establishing that. And it's also giving an instruction through the purport. Okay, the instruction is not very evident in the translation, but Srila Prabhupada's purport, it's coming out that the significance of charity to be given specifically to the spiritually advanced. So we have to give charity to the spiritually advanced. So these are the 4 aspects coming. The hierarchical nature of spiritual advancement, exclusive devotion to Lord Krishna, the dominance of Vaishnavas over Brahmanas, and the significance of charity given to spiritually advanced personalities. So, if you go back to the translation, it says, O King Yudhishthira, the super soul in every body gives intelligence to the individual soul. How? According to his capacity for understanding. And then it says that, towards the end it says, how is that capacity developed? Based on an individual's comparative development of knowledge, austerity, penance, and so on. So this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita when the Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. I reciprocate with you in proportion to your surrender. So the more we surrender, the more the Paramatma inside us is active. The more we are antarmukhi, the more we surrender, the more we are antarmukhi. The more we are antarmukhi, we receive more instructions from Paramatma. Now, what do you mean by surrender? Surrender is mentioned, there are various definitions of surrender. There is this surrender definition which Rupa Goswami gives. Which is the verse? Not Anyavidashunya. Sorry, forgot. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshashiti vishwaso goptritve varnam tatha karpanya and atmanivedanam. This is one definition of surrender, which we are not going to talk about that in detail now. But simply spoken, surrender is what? Surrender means giving our body, mind and words to Lord Krishna. This is called as Tridandi. In sannyasa, in ISKCON, the sannyasis take what? Tridanda. What does that signify? That they are going to now dedicate their body, mind and words solely for the pleasure of Lord Krishna and unto his mission in this world. Now, how do we dedicate our body, mind and words to Lord Krishna? And that is what is mentioned here by few things. By development of knowledge, first of all. Without knowledge, how do we know that we are utilizing our body and mind and words correctly? Therefore, we need knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Not artificial intelligence and cloud computing, right? We need knowledge of scriptures. We need transcendental knowledge. Knowledge which is beyond the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which does not tell us simply how to do eating, mating, sleeping and defending in this world. Knowledge which is beyond that. Knowledge of something that is higher than the mundane activities of this world. So that knowledge we will have to cultivate. And where do we get that knowledge from? We get that knowledge from the scriptures. Now, when cultivating that knowledge, there is a method that is required. It is not about just browsing the Bhagavad Gita, just like we read Harry Potter and saying that Bahut Anandaya. Okay. Or sometimes people say, what a scripture, kuch bhi samajh mein nahi aaya. So high level. I didn't understand what level they are talking. What did you understand? No, I couldn't understand, but very high level. Very impressive piece of work. What nonsense is this? Right? We admire things which we do not understand. And we look down upon things because they are simple. This is the irony of material world. So when we study the scriptures, we have to study under a more advanced devotee. Okay, this is important. In fact, Prabhupada has recommended that one must study and write exams. If we do not write exams, how will our knowledge be tested? Who are we allowing to test our knowledge? Nobody. Right? Therefore, Prabhupada said we must have exams. So, Shastras must be studied systematically and it will take time, purport by purport by purport. Okay. So, once, I was talking to His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu about, and he had written in his Unveiling the Lotus Feet when he had launched that book. So, we were all taking blessings from him. And Bhurijan Prabhu was very kindly, giving those books to all of us with his signature. And he had written, teach and preach. He wrote in my book, and then I'm sure he wrote it in many books, but definitely I saw that it was written in my book. I said, okay, then obviously the question was, how do I teach and preach? So to teach and preach, you have to study properly. If we are a good student, then we will be able to be effective when we are teaching and preaching. So Prabhupada gives a template, and Prabhupada's disciples have also very nicely made a template for how to study Shastras, how to cultivate this knowledge, so that then eventually we can surrender to the Lord based on that, based on the effectiveness of that knowledge. So there are various guidelines that are given. Knowledge is not just about by-hearting shlokas and then parroting it to sound very knowledgeable, right? Definitely there is a place for shlokas, there is no doubt about that. Because when we back whatever we are saying with a Sanskrit shloka, then that lends credibility to whatever we are speaking. So the audience knows that this person is not speaking from his pocket, right? Something off his hat, or not speculating whereas there is a concrete reference to it somewhere in the bona fide scriptures. So that gives a lot of credibility to the speaker. So therefore shlokas are important, but merely parroting shlokas is not enough. Angani sakalendriye vrittimanti. Okay. Now everyone knows that. Morning we say Angani yasya, but if we have to tell that in English, if we catch 5 people and then say English mein what is the translation, then how many of us really remember it? Okay, that's a good question, right? So if we don't know the meaning of it, then how can we chant that with feeling? So therefore knowledge has to be backed up with understanding. We have to understand what we are chanting, right? Not only that, it's not just about, yes, I know what is a shloka, I have understood. Sarvadharvan parityaja mam ekam sharanam, abandon all varieties, simply surrender to me. I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Okay. Are you doing it? That's what Prabhupada is asking. Therefore, next comes what? Personal application. We have to apply it in our lives. For example, when I remember in the initial days when I used to hear lectures, I was new in Krishna consciousness. Okay. So whenever one saintly personality is there in ISKCON, who always in his classes he says, Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So whenever I used to hear, one must become humble. I used to look at others and say, see what Maharaj is saying? Must be humble, like that. So therefore, personal application. In the initial days, we think everything is preaching application. Correct? And especially when you start preaching, then we sometimes forget that there is something called as personal application. So therefore personal application is important, and then preaching application. Yesterday we were discussing about Lord Chanakya. What Lord Chanakya said, that he said the first duty of everyone is what? To save ourselves first, then go out and preach. What is that? Janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. So which doesn't mean that to go out and preach we have to become a perfect devotee. That day will never come. Nobody will preach then. Correct? We have to understand that our preaching is not an entitlement. Our preaching is our sadhana. It's part of our seva. It's sadhana as well as seva. So we have to take preaching like that. And then in order to preach, then we have to take responsibility that to be effective in our preaching, unless we apply it to ourselves, how will we be able to do this service? So in that mood, then we understand the integration of knowledge, understanding, personal application and preaching application. Of course, there are various other aims also. We will not get into the detail, but one thing that is at a high risk if we don't understand is mood and mission. We have to understand why Prabhupada said something in some day, in which context, to who, right? Otherwise, sometimes what we can generalize, we can say Prabhupada said that, like that, and that's all. Okay. So it's not quoting Prabhupada said that and applying it in every context. There are many things which Prabhupada mentioned in a specific context. And that context, how do we know? When we study Prabhupada's purports, we will understand in which context Prabhupada is mentioning something, right? Like for example, yesterday we are going through this pastime of Daksha Yagya. Towards the end of the Daksha Yagya, there is one translation which comes. In the translation, the Lord is appearing. Lord Vishnu is appearing in the Daksha Yagya now, because of the prayers of all the devotees. He has now come. Lord Shivji has also reconciled and he has come. Daksha has got the head of a goat. Okay, everything has happened like that, and Lord Vishnu is coming. And therefore, many personalities are glorifying Lord Vishnu's form. Brahmaji is glorifying, Indra is glorifying, the sages are glorifying, the siddhas are glorifying. So Bhrigu Muni is glorifying, everyone is glorifying, Lord Vishnu. So it's said that the form of the Lord destroys demonic mentality. Okay. So there was a context in which the speakers in the assembly are speaking that. But Prabhupada is smashing the Mayavadis here. Okay. They are not smashing Mayavadis in the translation, but Prabhupada is smashing the Mayavadis. Because what is the Mayavadis' basic idea? The Mayavadis' basic idea is the form of the Lord is material. When Brahman comes in contact with the inferior energy, then Brahman is not, they don't even call it as inferior, they call Maya Shakti. Then Maya Shakti even subjugates Brahman, and through that forms such as Krishna and Ram come. Only difference between us and Krishna and Ram is that Krishna and Ram are more evolved in terms of their realization of Brahman. This is nonsense philosophy. Nonsense. Right? So Prabhupada, when he is talking about that form, Prabhupada is in a completely different mood. Why? What is Prabhupada's mood? Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarene. So that is Prabhupada's mood and mission. So therefore when we understand, so through that we understand how to understand that verse from the lens of Srila Prabhupada. So therefore this knowledge we acquire by studying under devotees. And of course the highest devotee we have is Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is the one who gives all the explanations. And then from Prabhupada's disciplic succession we will learn the Shastras. But we have to learn it systematically for us to be able to get the right mood of surrender. Many times we think that doing service is all in all, and we don't have to study any books. At the end of the day, I am doing service, no Prabhuji. Therefore, why do I need to study Srila Prabhupada's books? But what will happen, if we just do service and do not study Srila Prabhupada's books, we will not understand the mood in which we have to do that service. So that service, which is supposed to take us closer to Godhead, will take us away from Him, because we will become proud of our service, and then we will start looking down first of all on the people who are not doing that service. Right? For example, if we are not studying Prabhupada's books and we are studying Prabhupada's books, what will be our mood of service? For example, when we are, when we are giving khichdi, okay, on top in that Sunday feast, for example, when guests are coming, there are many ways in which we can serve. Okay, like I saw once Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj serving upstairs. He said, I am going to give, and everyone was very embarrassed to take service from Maharaj. But Maharaj was, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He is looking at everyone in the eye and saying Hare Krishna and then serving. Contrast that to this. Move, keep moving. That's another way of service. Now what is the difference? There is a difference. Both are giving khichdi only. Both are giving prasadam only. Okay. So, and then someone goes for another serving, then the person is very rude. That shows that person has got nothing to do with Prabhupada's books. Right? That person is only coming to the temple and coming with his or her own mentality. And having no knowledge of that. So therefore, knowledge is extremely important. Of course, simply knowledge without service is also useless, because ultimately knowledge has to culminate in service. But knowledge gives the mood of service. So here it is said, the super soul is manifested to the individual soul according to the individual's comparative development of knowledge. That's the first one. Then austerity and penance. Now what is the difference between austerity and penance? Austerity we do for austerity. It's an example. Austerity, the primary aim of austerity is to purify to control our senses, to develop control over our indriyas. What is that? Jada indriya tahe kal. We say that prayer, so that, please, oh Lord, please give me control over my senses, because my senses are running wild. So austerity is about controlling the senses. And what is penance? Penance is any activity done with an explicit goal of paap dhone ka. What do you call that as? Of relieving our sins. So therefore, knowledge, austerity and penance. You can remember CAP, KAP, right? Knowledge, austerity and penance, right? So 3 things is being recommended. If we do CAP, then what happens? Paramatma will reciprocate more with us. What are austerity and penance for us? For us, austerity is what? Ekadashi, right? 4 regulative principles for controlling the senses. 16 rounds. Waking up early in the morning. By doing this, not only are we doing austerity, we are also doing penance. So Prabhupada's program gives all the 3. Knowledge, austerity and penance in one shot. How? For example, it is said that by performing devotional service, there is one of my favorite verses in Bhagavatam. I quote it very often. I'm quoting it today also for my own purification. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agham dhunvanti kartsanyena niharam eva bhaskara. By performing devotional activities does not merely remove sinful reaction, but it removes the weeds of sinful action such that they will never sprout. Just like the sun dissipates fog by its rays. It completely removes. Jad se, in Hindi we say jad se ukhad deta hai. It removes the weeds of sinful action so that they'll again not sprout. Otherwise what will happen? I remember one of my friends, he said, from tomorrow no cigarettes, man. Ma kasam, he said. No cigarette from tomorrow. And then after 2 days he said, yaar talab, one, ek hi leta hun, one. And again he came back. Again every new year he used to take resolve. From this year, ma kasam nahi. Right? So that is what will happen. Because what is happening, there is no process, there is no surrender, there is no plea to a higher authority to help us control our senses, and there is no process by which we show our sincerity that our plea will be accepted by that divine person. Both are missing. It's just a resolve. It is called as manorathena sati dhavato bahi. When the mind tells give up something, you start suddenly trying to give it up. And then you realize you can't give it up. And then the mind only tells you, it's okay, you have tried sincerely, now you start again. After all, you are a good man. Sometimes you want to give it up. You're good. Like that. This is the mind, right? So, because there is no surrender, there is no guidance and mercy of Paramatma for such people. So therefore, this purport is underscoring the fact that we have to engage ourselves in cultivation of knowledge, austerity and penance for us to develop our bonding with our own Paramatma. Now, one may say that, why? Because I am the spirit soul. I have been told that I am spirit soul, and I have been told that spirit soul is Satchidananda. All knowledge, whatever is there, is already within me. So why do I need Paramatma? Because the soul is Satchidananda. Somebody can argue like that. What is the refutation to that argument? Sri Hari, what is the refutation? How will you argue against that point? Anyone wants to argue against that point? I am arguing that I am spirit soul, I am Satchidananda. I have all knowledge within me. Prabhupada also said Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. Whatever is there, the soul itself is having all this knowledge. Then why do I need Paramatma after that? Why does the soul need a super soul?
Conditioned.
Yes, very good. Because we are conditioned. Okay, a good example of that is, if you run alone, okay, of your own, let's say we are running on Dank Street, there is a running race going on, okay, Sivya is starting. On your mark, set, go, and she starts running, right? You can run at what? 10-20 kilometers per hour. But then, if I tie your legs to your sister's legs and then say, now both of you hold each other and run, you are going to run slower or faster? Slower. Or if I tie an iron ball to your feet, then what happens? It impedes your natural ability to run. So naturally, if Krishna has given an ability to run at a particular speed, what happens? The shackle which is there, it does not help you to manifest your natural prowess of running, right? So that is exactly why super soul is required. Because the soul has got all knowledge, but because the soul has a layer of contamination on top of it, there is to be somebody who has to guide us how to do polishing and remove that contamination. Eventually the soul can shine of its own. And that's why for a liberated person, there is no need of Paramatma, because once you go back to the spiritual world, the soul is self-sufficient then. Soul is already re-established in its constitutional position. Paramatma is a feature that is only for the purpose of delivering us from the material world. So, Paramatma merely helps us uncover our original self. Now, question may be asked, why does Paramatma come into this material world? Why is Paramatma required to accompany us? One of the examples is of a child going to school for the first time. All of you remember when you went to school for the first time? You're all crying, right? Nobody wanted to go. I remember, I saw my mother gave... You never went to school, huh?
I went to school.
Yeah.
I'm in grade 5.
You enjoyed school, is it? You enjoy school or no?
Yeah.
I never enjoyed, man. I was crying all along the way. My father had a tough time with me. Okay. I remember my KG class. I still remember, at that time we had this tin box. You remember that? With a, what is that? That slate and that, lamba wala kya tha wo? Where you write on a slate. We used to have that. And then my mother used to keep 2 cookies inside that also. No. So that box I used to cry, And then that bus fellow, I used to get scared of that fellow. His name was Simon. Moment I saw Simon, gone. Because Uddipana. Uddipana means what? He's taking me away from my mother. So that Simon was a rascal for me. And I blamed that Simon. Every time this fellow comes, he takes me away from my mother. Okay, but actually it was my mother who was pushing me. Right? So now, this was my anxiety. But was my mother also anxious? Much more than I was, right? Because first time sending child. So what will happen? My mother will send me to school and then she'll come also to the school behind, right? To see whether I was okay there, right? And she will tell the teachers also, any problem, I'm standing outside. Actually, this visit when I went to India, I went to exactly that tree where my mother, she's no more, but I went to that tree where she always used to stand, to see whether I was okay. And after every test, she will stand there with coffee and biscuits. And then she'll ask me, okay, what did you answer? Question number 1. Who is the Supreme Personality? No, that was not the syllabus at that time. When did Shivaji Maharaj kill this fellow? And I said 19, I forgot. And then one slap there itself in the school premise. So I used to remember, I just stood under the tree and I was just imagining all these things. It was quite an experience, right? But the point, what am I trying to say? The point is, Krishna loves the soul. The spirit soul which was in Vaikuntha with the Lord has now taken a decision, I want to go away from you. And the Lord says, why? He's pained to see us come to this rotting material world. But we are telling the Lord, mate, I am now teenager. I know. You don't tell me. Okay. Mama, why you have to come everywhere behind me? I am old now. I know. Okay, that's how we started crying to the Lord, right? So the Lord said, okay, mate, go. But I will come along with you. Tu jahan jahan chalega, mera saya saath saath hoga. Right? So then the Lord is coming as what? As Paramatma with us. That is why the super soul comes with us. In fact, in the Puranjana pastime, which is going to come later down the line, Puranjana pastime, Puranjana becomes a woman in the next lifetime. You remember that? Puranjana becomes a woman. And it is said that once Puranjana is crying because husband has left. Earlier Puranjana was a man, now Puranjana is a woman. And therefore one Brahmana comes. Who is this Brahmana? This Brahmana is Paramatma, right? And he's saying, why are you crying? Who is this fellow who has left? You are crying. Is this fellow really, is he your eternal consort? She says, who are you asking me these questions? So he says, don't you remember me? I am your eternal friend. Life after life I have been coming with you. So Paramatma is coming out and in the form of a Brahmana and speaking to Puranjana, right? So, in that specifically Prabhupada says, Yena agre vicharchartaha. Agre means before creation. So Prabhupada is establishing the point in the purport that Paramatma plans to come with us even before the creation. You know, this rascal, when Crown Casino is built, he will run over there. Because the conditioned souls are in a state of Shushupti inside the body of Vishnu, right? And they are going to be released, and already the jail is being created. And Paramatma knows everyone's consciousness. Paramatma knows this fellow will run to that jail thinking that he will enjoy. So let me go. So Prabhupada is writing that Paramatma already knows our intent even before creation. And then he plans to come with us. So this is the role of Paramatma. Like a kind friend, Paramatma is always guiding us. Now, who is Paramatma for us? There are two Paramatmas for us. Who are the Paramatmas in our life? Which incarnation is Paramatma? Yeah, there are two incarnations who are Paramatma. One is Śrīmad Vishnu, who is Paramatma, who is customized, bespoke Paramatma for all of us. Customized inside our heart, specifically for us. That is who? Śrīmad Vishnu. And who is the collective Paramatma for the entire universe? Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Right? So these two personalities are Paramatma. Individual Paramatma within our heart to give us customized instructions based on our own problems of life. Right? Guiding us in our own sweet way. In his own sweet way. And there is collective consciousness, collective Paramatma which is of the whole world, which is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Now, besides this, now does Paramatma only manifest in living entities? No. This Śrīmad Vishnu enters each and every atomic particle also. For example, scientists are able to say that the electrons revolve around the nucleus. And then they say centrifugal force, centripetal force, but what is that force? That force comes because of the presence of Paramatma, the localized aspect of Sankarshana. That is what gives the energy to keep the electrons around the orbit of the nucleus. That science, material science will not tell. What is that force? But the scriptures reveal that is because Paramatma has entered. So, Paramatma enters sentient as well as insentient entities. And when it enters matter, Paramatma keeps matter moving. It keeps matter going. Right? Now, again, does Paramatma enter animals? Do animals have Paramatma? Yes or no? How many of you say yes? Okay. Oh, everyone is saying yes. Okay. So, now what does Paramatma have to do with a cow? Will Paramatma tell a cow, "Cow, please don't eat meat"? Who is the most dangerous species on the planet? Human beings. We are the only special species which have a tendency to violate everything. If someone says go left, we will go right. If they say north, we will go south. Why you are telling me? I know. Right? Cow never tells. Why you are telling me? I know. Will a cow say anywhere, anytime? Have you heard anywhere? No. Even donkey, which is an idiot, also obeys the laws of nature. It is only human beings who are, in Marathi we say Dheed Shana, over smart. Right? We are the ones who are over smart. Right? So we are the ones who are vulnerable to breaking the laws of nature. Now animals, but still Paramatma comes within animals also. Why? Paramatma sees animals through their destiny. Because at the end of the day, karmana daiva netrena jantur deha upapatteya. Striya pravishta udaram pumsareta kanashreya. How does every living entity get its body? The living entity gets body based upon karmana daiva netrena, based on one's karma, but under the supervision of Paramatma. So it's Paramatma. Remember Prabhupada's famous purport in Science of Self-Realization, Journey of Self-Discovery, where Prabhupada says that after death, the subtle body carries the soul to the next destination. You remember that? Just like a flower carries aroma. So, now the subtle body is not acting independently. Who is taking the subtle body? Paramatma. Our Paramatma is going to come along with us till we are conditioned, taking our subtle body to the next gross body. That's why karmana daiva netrena jantur deha upapattaye. Based on that daiva netrena, under the jurisdiction of the demigods, then we get our next body. And the Paramatma knows what kind of latent desires we have inside our heart. What are our deepest desires? Right? So then therefore we are taken to the next body. Of course, we need karma plus desire. For example, I can admire Sachin Tendulkar, the great cricketer, and I can say, oh, Krishna, Paramatma, next lifetime, I really want to be associated with cricket in a big way. Right? Yes, there is a desire, so Paramatma will definitely ensure you have something to do with cricket. But I don't have the merits, the good karma which Sachin Tendulkar has. Therefore, what will happen? I will be in the same Wankhede stadium, but I will be rolling the pitch. Great association with cricket. So, Paramatma gives us our body not only based on our desire, but based on the merits also. Karmana daiva netrena, jantur deha upapate. So that's another job of Paramatma. How does an elephant know how to eat, sleep, mate and defend? Just think about it. Everything comes naturally. Why does an elephant get only attracted to she-elephant and not to tigress? Correct? Because of the presence of Paramatma. Who is the only species who argues with Paramatma? Human beings. Right? So, therefore Paramatma has got to do lot of hard work when it accompanies a human being. Not with animals. Animals it's easy. So, Prabhupada purport now, coming back to the translation and purport today, Prabhupada says that the manifestation and the job of Paramatma, the intensity of that job is also a function of who Paramatma is accompanying. Darwin's theory, somewhere elsewhere Prabhupada is smashing Darwin's theory. What does Darwin's theory say? Darwin's theory talks about the theory of evolution. What is the difference between Darwin's theory and the Vedic conception? What is the difference? Both talk about evolution, but Darwin's theory of evolution says it is evolution of body, whereas Shastras say it is evolution of soul. That's the basic difference. So we also talk about evolution, but evolution of our consciousness, lifetime after lifetime that begets bodies. It is not that we beget bodies and therefore a consciousness. No, it is because there is a consciousness and therefore we beget a body. That's where the whole paradigm shift is there. That's why Prabhupada says to have better understanding of Paramatma, we need to have this knowledge. So, now any living entity can operate only because of the presence of Paramatma. How do we know that we can operate only because of the presence of Paramatma? So Prabhupada quotes 15.15 in its purports today. What is 15.15 Bhagavad Gita? Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto mattaha smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvairaham eva vedya vedanta krit vedavid eva cha aham. And what is the first line in the translation? I am seated within everyone's heart. And he says, I am seated within everyone's heart, not just human being's heart. I am seated within everyone's heart. And then by my presence, what happens? You get smritir jnanam apohanam. Smriti means remembrance. Jnanam is knowledge. Apohanam means forgetfulness. So even forgetfulness comes because of Paramatma, right? So what is the forgetfulness that Paramatma gives to all of us? Our previous life. Just imagine, donkey gets remembrance. I was the president of this country. And then he goes to, like that. They'll say, what? Kill that fellow. Security threat. Na jane kahan se chale aate hain. Donkey is coming. So you can imagine, donkey says, no, I'll tell you the policies which I made in the last lifetime. My basic policy was animal slaughter. That is why you got body of donkey, Mr. Donkey. So you can't. So therefore, to avoid all this commotion, because so many donkeys will claim, then which is real donkey, which is not. Correct? It will become a big problem for us to ascertain based on. But think about it. It's a simple thing. But just imagine if we all remember our past life, there will be complete chaos. Complete chaos. Right? Right? There is a young girl, and then I am running, Mummy, and she is saying, Beta, like that. Can you imagine? How ridiculous it will sound, right? So thankfully, what happens? Paramatma gives us forgetfulness of our previous lifetime. Otherwise, there will be rasa bhas in all relationships, right? So this is the job of Paramatma. And Paramatma directs the wanderings. Now, it is also mentioned that Paramatma is above the Atma. Atma is Tathashta Shakti, whereas Paramatma is not Tathashta. Paramatma is not marginal energy. Paramatma is the superior energy of the Lord. So there is no vulnerability of Paramatma to material circumstances, whereas the soul is very, very vulnerable to material circumstances. But Paramatma can remove these shackles of the soul in a particular body. Let me give an example. Daksha Prajapati, I am coming back to that. Daksha was a very handsome looking man, but what happened after some time? He got the head of a goat. Now you can just imagine a human being with the head of a goat. And Daksha is still continuing his Daksha Yagya. Now you are thinking, how does he remember the mantras? He has got the head of a goat man. Goat has a brain. With goat's brains, can goat chant Mahamantra? Can he chant Purusha Shuktam? No. Then you are wondering, how come goat can do all these things? Therefore, this is a very profound point, because from here we understand it is not our brain from where knowledge comes. From brain, knowledge only manifests. But brain is not the source of knowledge. What is the source of knowledge? Mattaha smriti jnanam apohanam cha. It is Paramatma who is the source of all knowledge. Right? Therefore, because of the presence of Paramatma within Daksha, Daksha was able to continue taking that Vishnu Yagya to its logical culmination with the power of Paramatma, who still made him remember everything, that you are Daksha, you are not goat. Right? Or Gajendra, elephant. You were asking a question on Gajendra the other day, remember, in one recent class. Gajendra prayed. How did Gajendra remember all those prayers? Though he was in an elephant body, that is because of the strong presence of Paramatma, right? How did Bharat Maharaj, even when in a deer's body, go and associate with saintly personalities? Because of the presence of Paramatma. Okay. So, Paramatma gives Smriti, Jnanam and Apohanam. Paramatma gives the inner voice. Now, whether we listen to that inner voice or not, or where we dabaw that inner voice, oh, shut up, I know what I have to do, then what happens? That is our free will. That decides whether we remain bound to this material world or whether we give ourselves a good chance to escape this prison of material existence. Now, talking about a devotee's life, right? Now we talked about animals, common people, atoms, molecules, everything we spoke about, right? Now for a devotee's life, what is the role of Paramatma? The moment Paramatma sees an inkling, an iota of desire within someone to attain Krishna, what does Paramatma do? Paramatma goads us in the role of Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru means what? The inner Guru of us. Paramatma is our inner Guru. And through Paramatma, we get our external Guru. There are two types of Gurus we get. There is instructing Guru and then there is initiating Guru. What is instructing Guru called as? Sri Hari, what is instructing Guru called as? Shiksha Guru. And what is initiating Guru called as? Diksha Guru. Okay. So, we get our two Gurus by the mercy of Paramatma. Right? So, based on gradations of living entities, Paramatma has got different roles to play from within. Now, in this purport, it is said that the highest evolved is who? In consciousness is Brahmanas, but higher than that is the Vaishnavas. Now, one of the very interesting pastimes which underlines this is in the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, towards the very end of 10th canto, I believe 89th chapter. Krishna retrieves the sons of the Brahmana. Remember this chapter? Towards the very end of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 10th canto, it will be the 89th chapter. There are 90 chapters in 10th canto. So there, what is the story? It's a beautiful pastime. The pastime is that there is a Brahman under the kinship of Ugrasen. And this Brahman, every time his wife delivers, the child comes out and dies. Every time it happens. So the first time it happens, the Brahmana is very aggrieved. Now obviously, the king is responsible for maintaining law and order and for protecting everyone. So the moment the first child dies, the Brahmana starts blasting King Ugrasen, left, right, center. That Ugrasen is this way, that way. He's a cheater. So many words he uses, which you can study in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. But essentially, he is very upset with Ugrasen. And then again and again this is happening. And when once the Brahmana is such blasting Ugrasen, Arjuna is present. Now Arjuna is Kshatriya. Says, Brahmana, don't worry. I will protect your children. Next child, I will protect. If I fail in this, I will kill myself by entering the fire. Right? So then Arjuna, what he does, with his arrows, he gives a fence when the lady is going to deliver. We're all protected by fence. And then now the lady delivers. What happens to the child? Gone. Right? So now Arjuna is wondering, what's going on here? My arrows I thought were so powerful, right? But then the child has died now. So Arjuna is saying that no, I have given promise. So I am going to take responsibility for getting this child back. So he goes to the abode of Yamaraj. What happens when Arjuna goes to the abode of Yamaraj to retrieve the child? Is the child there? No, the child is not there in the abode of Yamaraj as well. So Arjuna comes back despondent. And then what happens? Arjuna says, now there is no point in my life. I have failed my duty as a Kshatriya. Therefore, he is about to enter the fire when who intervenes? Krishna intervenes. Okay, this is a very important point. Krishna intervenes in between. Says, Arjuna, what are you doing? No need of doing that. Just sit behind. Like Bhagavad Gita. Sit in the chariot, I am going to take you somewhere. And what happens? Krishna sits in the chariot and he takes him outside the realms of the material universe. It is mentioned how Krishna is driving the chariot, and after some time, the material universe is a dark place. Even some places, the influence of sun is also not there. In 6th canto, I believe, right? 5th canto, we study about the Loka, Aloka mountains. You remember that? So, Krishna is going through the local Aloka mountains and is crossing that. And now what is happening? Because everything is very dark, Krishna is releasing his Sudarshan Chakra. Even the horses are bewildered where to go. It's so dark, they're confused. So Krishna releases the Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra goes ahead and illuminates the path, and then the horses are able to get their way. And then they pierce the egg of the shell of the universe, and then what is there outside that? Karanodakshai, causal ocean, right? And who is there in causal ocean? Mahavishnu is there. So the moment they see that, they enter the whole abode of Mahavishnu, right? And then who is waiting for them there? Mahavishnu on Ananta Shesh is waiting. And then he says, welcome both of you. So Krishna says, give the children back. And Mahavishnu says, the children are with me. I am the one who took the children because, why? I wanted to take your darshan. Mahavishnu wants to take darshan of Lord Krishna, right? So this is such a sweet pastime. And then Mahavishnu says, okay, take these children, go back and be there as Nar Narayan Rishi, both of you, right? So, and then they come back. Now, while coming back, Arjuna is completely in awe of Krishna. He says, Mahavishnu also wants to take your darshan? Like that. So he is in that mood, right? And then, but Arjuna has a question. He says, Krishna, why did you wait so long to protect the children of the Brahmanas? Why did you wait so long? Krishna said, yes, you are right. If I wanted to protect the Brahmana's child, the moment the first child was lost, I could have gone to Mahavishnu and said, Vapas dena. Right? I could have done that myself. By my thought, I could have brought it back. right? I waited till the time that you threatened to enter the fire. That's because I will do anything for the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are more important to me than Brahmanas. So this is the whole pastime culminates in this. Vaishnavas, for Brahmana also Krishna will give some time, but for Vaishnavas, Krishna's response is what? What is that called as? Critical incident number 1. Right? Immediate response and resolution. Right? High priority incident. So this is the thinking of Lord Krishna. Right? So this purport, that is another theme when we discussed at the start of the class, that Vaishnavas are always ahead of Brahmanas. Right? Then, now you will say, what is the duty of this Garbhodakshayi Vishnu? Because after all, we started by talking about localized Paramatma and collective Paramatma for the entire universe. Remember that? We defined that earlier, right? So localized Paramatma is very customized for all of us. But what is the job of collective Paramatma? What is this collective consciousness management all about? Because at the end of the day, the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Brahma responsible for secondary creation, Rudra or Mahesh responsible for destruction, and Vishnu responsible for maintenance. Now what is that maintenance all about? And in this context of collective, maintaining the collective consciousness of living entities in this world. So for that we have to understand how collective consciousness manifests in this world. Ordinarily, what do we see in terms of collective consciousness? So collective consciousness can be seen in cultural beliefs and values. Okay. We'll 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Collective consciousness can be seen in cultural beliefs and values. Correct or no? Yes? Yeah. So, how does this manifest? Cultural beliefs and values manifest in terms of norms and traditions. In our family, puja aise hoti hai, waise hoti hai. This is cultural values and traditions. This may also reflect in a shared understanding within a tradition of what constitutes spirituality, what constitutes morality. It can be driven by culture. So there is again that collective consciousness within a culture. Or number 2, it can be triggered based on social movements. When I say social movements, it can be shared grievances and goals. For example, in India, we had an activist called Medha Patkar, who said Narmada Bachao Andolan. Our whole goal of our life was what? To save Narmada river, like that. So, an entire movement can start, a social movement can start based on collective consciousness and shared values of some individuals. Third manifestation is national identity. For example, Bhagat Singh, Dil diya hai jaan bhi denge, hai watan tere liye. For your sake, I will give my life, oh Bharat Mata. Like that. This is coming from a point of what? A strong identity with India being our mother nation, right? A sense of belonging, a sense of allegiance that comes, right? So, because of that identity, every man thinks that my goal of my life is to work for the sake of my country, Bharat Mata ki Jai. That will be their nara, right? And they'll be driven to death with that conception. Or political ideologies, collective consciousness, right? Okay. So shared beliefs about how society should be organized and how society should be governed. That is another dimension of that. Now that dimension, Prabhupada says, reflects in isms, quote unquote isms, communism, this ism, that ism, right? So these are isms which then reflect in government policies, right? These isms reflect in government policies, the role of the state and so on and so forth, right? So that is another collective consciousness. And then, of course, if all this is not enough, then fashions and trends. That is also Collective consciousness. Anyone who has a teenage daughter will realize this. Fashions and trends. Right? Right? This is not in fashion. I want to wear this. Like that, right? So our apparels, the slangs that we... How is he? Earlier we used to say he's a good boy. Nowadays we say, yeah, he's cool. Cool bloke. From good boy to cool bloke. Okay, so these are what? These are slangs, okay, which is fashion, trend. It's fashionable to speak like that. Lol. Okay, I don't know what is lol. I know only lollipop. If I said lol, I'll get one, what is that? Chupa chups. That is what I'll get. So this is fashions and trends, collective consciousness. So collective consciousness are cultural beliefs, social movements, national identity, political ideologies, fashion and trends. Now, if you see the common thread underlying any of this, it is what? Identity. Who am I? I am Indian, I am communist, I am fashionable, I am modern, right? I am something, I am fill in the blanks. Now what is in that fill in the blanks is our identity, and whatever we put in that fill in the blanks drives our entire life. It drives our thought processes, it drives our value systems, and therefore it drives our activities in this world. And that is exactly what is the job of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu as collective Paramatma for the entire universe. Because he says, I am a person who is not sitting inside everyone's heart, because that Śrīmad Vishnu is doing, but I have the job of administering this whole universe, because one common thing between all these fellows inside this egg, inside this jail is what? The concept that they are something other than what they are. And therefore the job of collective Paramatma is what? Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nitya Das. The collective Paramatma gives us our Jaiva Dharma. The collective Paramatma, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, tells us who we are, that we are spirit soul. Our only business in this world is to escape this jail of samsara sagar. Birth, disease, old age and death. Therefore, to remind these people about their true identities, I will come again and again. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam. Every time there is a decline of religion, when dharma is diluted, I as the collective consciousness will come. Every incarnation will enter through me into this material world. So that is the job of collective consciousness, right? So that is another theme that is there in this particular verse. So Śrīmad Vishnu takes on this onerous task of managing this connective consciousness and goading the entire of mankind to higher purposes of life. And he takes accountability for this. Finally, the last theme in this is charity. So Prabhupada is saying, now you may say, amidst all this, suddenly charity kahan se aaya? Where is it coming? I was also thinking, I was reading this purport again and again, I couldn't understand the thread. But the thread is what? The topic itself. What is the topic? Ideal householder life, family life. What is the primary duty of a grihastha? To give in charity. That is it. So now the question, therefore, this purport, when Yudhishthira Maharaj is talking, this theme is also prevalent in that. So Prabhupada is saying charity. Now, how is charity connected with Paramatma? Because it is Paramatma who will guide us from within our heart how to give charity. So that is Paramatma's job. So we have to listen to Paramatma. For example, many times in the railway station, okay, in India, we have beggars. Different types of beggars are there. One is this lady who is destitute, her children have left her, okay, very old lady, she is not even able to get up. And therefore what do you go? You get outside the train, into the platform, you go to her where she is sitting and saying, Amma, please take. Please eat something, right? And she is also begging, Amma, Amma, like that. There is another fellow who is able to walk, but who has deformed hands, who is coming outside your compartment and is asking you. Then you say, oh, okay, let me give you something. But there are other type of jokers also who come, okay? They'll come like this. भीख मांग रहा फिर भी स्टाइल है तेरे को, right? Stylish beggars, right? So what do? Chal. He'll say, you'll see hand, leg, everything is working. I saw, even when I went to India, beggars are coming and they have nicely hand, leg, everything is working. Still they'll come and say, And they'll stare at you, making you feel guilty that you have food. Right? So then what do? Tell hut. Right? We don't give. Because giving to this, if you give 10 rupees, what will he go? He's going to go and smoke ganja. Right? And we also get karma for that. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, charity must be done under guidance of Paramatma. Right? And that Paramatma, again, the aspect of knowledge. We build that knowledge and Paramatma gives us remembrance of that knowledge when we do charity. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 20 to 28 talks about different types of charity. Charity which is given in a mood where you don't expect anything, but giving it to a proper person, proper place, proper time, that is charity in the mode of goodness. If you give it grudgingly, ja, leke ja, tu bhi kya yaad rakhega? Suppose you give charity, that is charity in the mode of passion. Grudgingly you are giving. And charity which you are giving to someone who is going to smoke BD after that, that is charity in the mode of ignorance. You have no idea what you are giving, why you are giving. Only you want to feel good that I am a nice man. That's the problem. But then what will happen? In becoming a nice man, you will get bad karma. Right? So, now, beyond the three modes of material nature, what is the charity? And we'll end our class with that. What is the highest charity? For this, Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, in verse number 4, Dadati pratigrihnati guhyam akhyati pritchati bhukte bhojayate chaiva sadvidhi priti lakshanam. The four types of loving exchanges between devotees. Prabhupada writes in that purport quite a bit about what is that Prabhupada started, that food for, what is the program? Life member program. And Prabhupada says our business is what? Our primary charity is what? Highest charity which we can give is give the holy name to everyone. That can happen through books, that can happen through prasadam, that can happen through giving beads to everyone. But somehow or the other we have to connect them to the holy name. And that is the highest charity, Prabhupada says. Right? For that we have to ourselves become devotees by cultivating knowledge, by doing austerity and penance. In Kali Yuga, what is our austerity and penance? Sankirtan Yajna. We don't have to do anything beyond whatever Prabhupada has given. The regimen which Prabhupada has given us in our daily life, that's good enough for us. If we do that sincerely, our Paramatma will start giving us more and more intelligence. We'll start unraveling the intelligence which is already within us more and more. Right? So that is the import of today's verse. So I'll stop here, ask if any questions or comments. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. I had a question talking about Paramatma and how he talked about the soul. Is there people that if you're born into a human life, this life, and then is there the possibility that they might never get the chance to actually come towards Krishna, like they never hear the holy name, they never hear anything, and they've got, there's no outreach so that they can actually attach themselves to Krishna?
There is no what?
There's no, like, you know how we're on the road doing Harinam Sankirtan?
Yes.
And there could be people, just random people on the road that they listen.
Yes.
And they could and that's how they could come into Krishna consciousness, or the prasadam,
yes,
or some form of coming into Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
But my question is, can there be people that also don't deserve it and they don't get it throughout this life?
100%, because that is what Prabhupada calls as Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddha means eternally condemned. Technically, nobody is eternally condemned, because bhakti is for everyone, right? There are two aspects to it. One is nobody is eternally condemned. Everyone is given a chance by the Lord, right? Opportunities are there. It rains everywhere, right? It doesn't rain only in specific places, right? Just like rainwater is everywhere, holy name is available to everyone. But there is a free will of someone to take it or not take it, right? But even for those people who don't want to take it, there is something called as Kripa Siddhas. Kripa Siddha means what? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in Madhurya Kadambini. What does he write? He says, if a Vaishnava desires for someone to become a devotee, Krishna fulfills that desire even if the devotee doesn't want to go back to Godhead. The desire of one devotee, of a pure devotee, that someone else becomes a devotee is good enough for the Lord to intervene, because the Lord never disappoints the desire of his pure devotee. That is why Prabhupada's famous statement, the hippies asked Prabhupada, what was our qualification? Prabhupada said, you had no qualification. I made your qualification. Because Prabhupada desired for them to do bhakti. So yes, if you, when I say you, I'm saying me also, if all of us can put the oxygen mask on our face and develop purity in our lives, With purity comes the strength to deliver others. Correct? If I can't deliver myself, how can I deliver others? Right? So if we develop that purity, then our desire that someone may be delivered will deliver us. That is why it is said that first personal application and then preaching application. So it's preaching cannot happen. Purity, what did Prabhupada say? Purity is the force, books are the basis, preaching is the essence. Right? Does it help?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Krishna. Take the mic.
When you said that when we turn away from Krishna, Krishna gets really pained to see us acting in such a way. So if he's really pained to see us doing that, I was just wondering, why did he create like alcohol, drugs, or any other distractions to take us away from bhakti?
Yeah, good. That's because we wanted to taste it. The soul desired all these things. All substances in this world have been created because there is a need. We have something called a supply chain management. There is no supply without a demand in the market, right? So because we wanted indriya tripti, Krishna bhuli jiva bhoga vancha kare nistare maya tare jhapatiya dhare, right? Because the soul desired to enjoy separately from Krishna, therefore to enjoy separately from Krishna, I'll give you an example of that. Okay, I've given this in earlier classes also. This is actually in my life it happened. Okay, when Aditya, my son, was very small, no, I was in US. Okay, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. So I bought my first car. Okay, abroad in US. So, and I was very excited to drive that. So we used to go everywhere, even nearby. If we can walk and go, we'll still take car because new car, no, like that. Okay. So I used to drive, and then one day he was sitting in that, what is that seat called as? The child seat or whatever. And he started crying, I want to drive, like that. He wants to sit in the steering wheel. Now do I love him or no?
Yeah.
Obviously, which father will not love child? Correct or no? But can I tell Aditya, I love you? I want to fulfill your desire. Come and sit. Drive the car. What will happen? Finished. All of us will get moksha. Correct, no? Tatkal moksha. Right? Instant. Right? I can't do that. I love him. Right? But I can't allow him to drive that car. But at the same time, because I love him, I want to fulfill his desire that he wants to drive a car. So what I said, okay, 5 minutes. Daddy will take you. You will be able to drive car. I went, and then what happened? I took him to that, what is that? That $1. When you put, what happens? Like that. And then he sat there, and then he had a steering wheel in his hand, in that, what is the Crown Casino type machine, right? And then he was driving, and he said, Daddy, see, look, I chased this truck, I was driving so fast. I said, wonderful, what a driver you are, first class. You can drive faster than me also. Because I have 40 kilometers per hour on the road, no? Machine doesn't have any limit, right? So he fulfilled his entire desire, he unleashed over there in that machine. And then we were deliberately, then parents will also talk. How nice Aditya was driving, no? Like that. So that he doesn't ask again for the Toyota Camry, no? Correct. So this is how Krishna is, okay? Because I wanted to enjoy separately from him, and he knew that that is not possible, right? Therefore, he gives us an illusory experience in this material world. And to be under illusion, he has to create intoxicants which will give us that illusion. So that we are completely thinking that, I have completely separated from you, my dear Lord. Because he has to give us forgetfulness of him. How will Krishna fulfill our desire to sin if we remember him all the time? We desire to enjoy separately from him, and Krishna doesn't interfere with our free will, therefore he gives it. Okay. Is that okay, Krishna?
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
My question is, interestingly, you put the topic of identity. So you mentioned about the social identity, political identities, and other group identity. So if this is our identity is created through society, what is the role of Paramatma and Kshirodakshay Vishnu and Garbhodakshay Vishnu is coming in between?
That's what I explained in the class.
That is the process.
Yeah, the purpose of Kshirodakshay Vishnu is to give you a customized direction based on your samskaras. Everyone needs a customized solution for their lives. Now, one size doesn't fit all, right? Because your problems in life will be different than my problems in life, right? So there is no one way. For example, your struggles in bhakti and my struggles in bhakti could be different, right? Somebody's struggles in bhakti is because they don't have enough money. Sometimes someone else's struggle will be they may have money, but they may not have good health, right? Somebody else's struggle in bhakti, they have money and health, but they don't have relationships, right? So everyone's situation is different. So Paramatma guides you on who should you consult for your problem. So that what is Paramatma's only interest? That you are connecting, you are getting closer and closer to Lord Krishna. So that is the job of the Sirodakshaya Vishnu, who is individual Paramatma inside your heart. The collective job of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is the collective consciousness of the whole universe, is to establish an ecosystem, is to facilitate an ecosystem for all living entities, under which living entities can give up their false identities and come back to their true identity. That's why he comes, yes, yada yada hi dharmasya. That's why I mentioned that he comes again and again to give us the message that there is a spiritual world. There is a spiritual world. You are rotting in this material world. Come back. The goal of your life is not to just, buy new car and house and put it on Facebook and become proud of your achievements and showcase to others who you don't like, right? But rather, it is to come back to me. And that's why I'm coming back with this message, pristine message, spiritual message again and again, yuga after yuga. I keep coming. So that is the job of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. That's what I was explaining in the class.
Then how does the one devotee or everybody is not even devotee's family, some devotee, some son or daughter.
Can you take a mic, Prabhuji? Sorry.
Then why there is so much of somebody's devotee's son or devotee's family, they are not becoming a devotee, or some group, they are completely away from devotee.
Okay, that's a different question. Okay, I'll answer one question at a time. Why does devotee's child sometimes not become a devotee? Okay.
Yeah, because Paramatma is, you said, this Paramatma, they facilitate.
Paramatma is there within their heart also, but a devotee's child may not become a devotee so that the parent devotee advances in spiritual life. That is also possible. Sometimes when our children becomes devotees, we can become proud of our parenting. Does it make sense? Yeah. So sometimes the Lord acts in a different way. He first delivers us and then our children. First he says, you rascal, I know that you will become proud if your child wears a dhoti and goes around, as the next spiritual master in ISKCON. Correct? So therefore, you will become proud and you will start giving sermons to everyone. No? Right? Therefore, I will keep you in check. You thought you knew too much? I will keep you humble. That you are not the parent, I am their parent. I'll give you one example which Jagatarini Mataji gave 2-3 visits back to us. She told us that do not ask Krishna, how do I raise my child? Ask Krishna, how do I raise your child who in this lifetime is in my custody? Because I am not the doer. And Krishna sometimes teaches us we are not the doer. Whether our children become devotees or non-devotees, we can't control it because we are not the controller. But we will realize that we are not the controllers. So we will do our duties, just being patient all the time, giving the right instructions, giving the right ecosystem to our children so that they go towards Krishna. But can we ensure? No, we can't. Because the only person who can ensure something in this world is who? Krishna. Right? So if you are asking that question, that is the answer. Why sometimes even devotees' children are not interested in Krishna consciousness. The other reason is, please understand, we may think they are our children. First of all, they are our children only in this lifetime. They might have been our father-in-law also in the previous lifetime. Correct? Right? Or mother-in-law. Correct? So we don't know who they are. We don't know which samskaras they are coming with. Right? Every soul comes with its own purva janma samskaras. Why does someone become a devotee in this lifetime? Because they either have agyata shukriti, unknowingly they have served a devotee, or they have bhakti unmukhi shukriti because they have done bhakti in the previous lifetime. Because of these reasons they can get bhakti. But if they do not have that, then what can a parent alone do, right? But Krishna obviously has his plan. Because please understand one thing, as a parent, all you can do is desire for your child to become a devotee and purify. Answering Prabhuji's question earlier, if we purify ourselves, then will Krishna not listen to us? Yes, he will. He will deliver our children also. Right? So first we have to put the oxygen mask firmly in our face. And really speaking, who can we control in this lifetime? Can husband control wife? Can wife control husband? Can parents control children? Can children control parents? No. We can't control anyone. Even controlling our own mind is a big problem for us. So we have to really understand. So all we can really do is, instead of worrying about whether our children will become pure devotees or not, is to worry about ourselves, right? And when I say worry about ourselves, is in becoming serious ourselves in Krishna consciousness. That's all we can do. And then leave it to Krishna to reciprocate, leave it to Paramatma then to guide us on what are the right things we should do with our children. That also requires intelligence and tact. Correct? That's my view. Prabhuji. Does it make sense to you or no? Not convinced? Okay. Chalo, take it. Okay. Okay. Yes, Gaurang.
You talked about the super soul guiding.
Prashadam is ready or no? Because sometimes the kitchen team thanks for late lecture. That's my service to them. The extra 15 minutes. Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Sorry, Gaurang, please repeat your question.
You talked about the super soul, Paramatma guiding.
That mic doesn't I think it's not working only. It's working?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said that the super soul, the Paramatma, guides the spirit souls, us souls, but according to our capability. But how do we know it's
Not according to our capability, according to our surrender, I said.
surrender? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. So then how do we know it's, at which point do we know that it's our
Paramatma or it's our mind?
yeah, our mind.
Yeah, it's a common question. Yes, yes. How do we know it's Paramatma or mind? So we have to review. We have to get our thoughts reviewed. Okay? So most of the time, if you trust your parents, ask them. They will tell you whether it's Paramatma or mind. Okay? And if you want to go one level beyond, skip level meeting, if you want to have a manager, okay, big, higher level, then go and ask a spiritually higher realized person. For example, check with, Bhurijan Prabhu is coming here. Check with him. Check with Jagatarani Mataji. They can guide you. That is why external guru is required. No? Otherwise, Krishna can say, oh, I am Paramatma. Why external guru is required? No need. There are two types of gurus, instructing guru and initiating guru. Why Paramatma has established that system? For this validation only. So suppose I am in doubt whether is it Paramatma or is it my mind which is telling me, then go and consult somebody outside and Paramatma will guide you to that person.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babuji. Sorry, one question.
Okay.
When
We'll take last time because otherwise, I will get banned from sitting here.
when the soul transmigrates from one body to another, there is some difference. The soul goes to Pitra Loka, etc.
Yes.
Does Paramatma accompanies during that period as well?
When soul comes to material world, does Paramatma accompany?
When he transmigrates from one body to another?
100%.
There's
Paramatma is the one who, because of presence of Paramatma, subtle body knows where to take the soul to the next destination. Subtle body carries the soul to the next destination, but under the jurisdiction of Paramatma. That's why I quoted that verse. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deha upapate. Under the daiva netra. Daiva netra means what? Under the
Divine
jurisdiction or the vigilance of Paramatma, the subtle body takes the soul to the next body. Was that your question? Did I answer it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we'll stop here. 9:15, 9:17. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions we can take offline? Huh? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Grantraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Aravindadalaya Taksham Bhāgavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vigamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Enam Kanvandam Aravindadalaya Taksham Bhāgavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundar
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanstam Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathantam Svam Sajivam Shat Chaitanya Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna